Okay, just a minute here, everybody. Dear ICJW executive, panelists, and friends, welcome to our first webinar of 2021. I'm lilianbosboom, Chair of Communications and PR for the ICJW. I'm talking to you from Rio de Janeiro, just after 2 p.m. local time. Today, participants of our webinar come from around the globe, from Mexico to Belgium, Uganda, and South Africa. We're truly the International Council of Jewish Women. This webinar is a continuation of the conversation we started on our latest newsletter, Bridging the Gap. We continue in this webinar by sharing these younger voices of the ICJW with you today. Bev Goldman, National President of UJW of South Africa, and I enjoy meeting the panelists in preparation for this webinar. It is refreshing to see young women activists in their communities. I hope you enjoy getting to know them better. And now, I would like to introduce you to Penny Conway, the President of ICJW.
Good afternoon, good morning, and possibly even good evening to all of you joining our ICJW webinar from around the world. My name is Penelope Conway, and I'm the President of ICJW, greeting you all from London, where unfortunately it is snowing, and we are in our third lockdown. Before I start, I just want to thank lilianbosboom and Bev Goldman for arranging this, and also thank David Bosboom, who is our tech specialist and administrator. Thank you all. This webinar is titled Bridging the Gap and features some of our younger members from affiliates in Uganda, Mexico, Belgium, and South Africa. For those of you who are not involved in the International Council of Jewish Women, ICJW was formed in 1912 and now has affiliates in 37 countries, representing the views of thousands of Jewish women. We promote a just society based on human rights and Jewish values and fight discrimination wherever it is found. ICJW has consultative status at the United Nations with permanent representatives in New York, Geneva, and Paris. We are also active in World Jewish Congress, UNESCO, the European Women's Lobby, and the International Council of Women, amongst many others. All of our affiliates are self-governing and have different methods of working. Some are focused on social welfare and community service, others on education and training, and others on advocacy. All work for both the Jewish and wider community. Today, we are concentrating on the views of our younger members, as they represent the future of ICJW, and their ideas and aspirations need to be heard and included in our future plans. I hope you all enjoy hearing their reports and ideas. Please welcome our moderator for this webinar, Lisa Shevitz from South Africa, who will introduce our speakers. Lisa has been a member of the Union of Jewish Women of South Africa for 15 years and lives in a small city called East London, where I doubt it's snowing, where she serves as the Correspondence Secretary. Lisa.
Thank you, Penny, and thank you, Lillian and Bev, dynamic ladies, women not afraid of rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty, of working hard and taking responsibility so that change can happen. Thank you to the ICJW for hosting this event and providing a platform for sharing, collaboration, and learning. As we've just heard from Penny, the ICJW is a real voice for Jewish organizations and women from around the world to be heard. And so thank you for all that you do. A big welcome to the listeners from all around the world, and especially to our three guests this evening. Having read through your bios, I can tell the audience that Hadassah, Elisha, and Elena are three extremely passionate, compassionate, dedicated, and amazing ladies. Tonight, we are bridging the gap in terms of diversity, destination, time zones, continents, and countries. But as you will see, the bridge is built on solid foundations of kindness, community service, selflessness, and most important of all, big hearts. I thank you all for joining us. The house rules are very simple. You can ask your questions and answers in the chat. We can't see you, and nor can you see each other, but you can see us. So feel free to multitask and do anything that you need to. I'd like to start the evening with Elena Brickman, who's based in Brussels. She's the director of B'nai Brit International, an organization dedicated to safeguarding Jewish life, promoting intergroup understanding, and improving quality of life through humanitarian efforts. 3 of her key focuses are tackling anti-Semitism, strengthening EU and Israel relations, and promoting Holocaust remembrance. She's a highly capable in this role, having served as president of the European Union of Jewish Students. She's 29 and a ball of fire. I hand over now to Elena to chat about Jewish students, activism, and some of the challenging campaigns she's been involved with and would love to share.
Thanks so much, Lisa, and thank you to all of you, Lilian, Penny, Bev. It's wonderful to be with you all, and it's always a pleasure to speak to the ICJW in different formats and for the first time online. So that's exciting that people from all over can be on. Thanks for the very generous introduction. Hopefully I can live up to that, but I think in this setting perhaps it can be welcome if I just share a little bit about myself, so that the things that I'm doing now kind of end up fitting together. So as Lisa mentioned, I'm speaking to you from Brussels, but I'm originally from Bucharest, Romania, where I've lived for the most part of my life, and where I was very much engaged with the Jewish community ever since I was a little child, being part of the Jewish choir, Jewish summer camps, the first Jewish school to open in Bucharest in 97. I was part of the first generation of that. So for me, Jewish life was all about positive aspects for many, many years, you know. Social events, gatherings, being a madriha, a guide for other young Jews. And so it's been very interesting and important for me coming into my professional life working on Jewish issues to have this background of having seen the Jewish community as an incredibly positive experience. Because nowadays, my work as a Jewish advocate basically revolves around making sure that those things that my experience as a young Jew can be protected. So when I'm working with various people in the EU institutions, various policymakers, other NGOs, other stakeholders, what I have in mind is exactly this: what is at stake, knowing the experience I've had growing up in the Jewish community, and knowing that that's something that I need to be protecting. As Lisa mentioned, I've had the chance to chair an organization called the European Union of Jewish Students, which is a Jewish advocacy organization that federates national Jewish students all across Europe. And that was an incredibly fulfilling experience where basically our goal was to bring positive Jewish identity to Europe, to educate people about what the Jewish community is, what is our history, our culture, and how Jewish identity can be lived in a positive way. We needed to tackle anti-Semitism in various forms, but I think the most important part of that is showing the positive aspect and engaging with non-Jewish Europe in such a way that they better understand who the Jewish community is. And that's something that I've tried to carry with me to my current organization, B'nai B'rith International, with which perhaps some of you are familiar. We are likely to have a branch wherever you might be listening to us from. And it was very interesting to bring this youth experience to an organization that is very old legacy organization, even older than the International Council of Jewish Women. We were formed in 1843 with a lot of the same missions, protecting human rights, taking on issues having in mind Jewish values, fighting discrimination. So I think there's a lot of overlap there. And thinking about how that looks like today. So coming into this legacy organization from a youth organization has been a very interesting experience because it allowed me to channel some of that activism spirit into a more establishment organization. So that means things like focusing on allyship, solidarity with other minority communities, making sure that I promote a diversity of voices, that I in turn encourage young voices to be at the table and am aware of that on a regular basis. And in terms of the work itself, it's diverse because unfortunately issues don't wait for us to solve them one at a time. They kind of come at us from all directions, and the year such as the one that just passed only worked to exacerbate that. Perhaps I leave it at this and I can go into more detail moving forward, or at least I'll generally wait for your guidance there.
Thank you, Elena. Just a quick question before we move on. In terms of the pandemic, has it affected your organization in a positive way? Has it allowed you to be more active, or have you faced more restrictions? What's the overall effect been, and how have you embraced it, the challenges, and what have you managed to do?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I mean, the pandemic has been obviously a terrible experience for everyone out there. I think particularly for minority communities, for religious communities who have faced very specific challenges. And that's something that we've been observing and trying to respond to. As well, B'nai B'rith has a large focus on advocacy for seniors. So the pandemic has also in this regard been a very difficult time. In the United States, we oversee a series of elderly homes. So a lot of work has been going in that direction. But as we sort of try to look for silver linings, I think it's been a year that allowed us to connect, surprisingly, perhaps much more than before. And it's allowed us to take on a wider variety of topics in a sense. So we took the opportunity to highlight issues that went a little bit beyond the scope of Jewish life and anti-Semitism very narrowly. So we dealt with the broader issues of racism, particularly with regards to the impact of the pandemic. We worked a lot on digital anti-Semitism, digital hate, and trying to find solutions to that, having a lot of conversations with platforms, with policymakers on this topic. We tackled anti-Semitism and football. We looked at the topic of conspiracy theories, transatlantic relations. So as you can see, there's quite a wider scope than what we may have been able to do had we continued about our work only face to face. So in that sense, indeed, the pandemic also gave us a few unique opportunities.
Well, I think all your work as a student and your transition into this role now, your Moderator is in very capable hands, very challenging times ahead. And I think you'll have a lot of stories to share with us. And I'm sure there'll be more opportunities to elaborate on those. But well done on all your work and all that you do, and for being an active voice. And we will definitely come back to you. And I now would love to hand over to Alicia Amiga from Mexico. Alicia is 45 and a mommy of 5 kids. So I'm not sure where she gets the energy to do community service. She is the president of Voluntaris Judeo-Mexicanos. And I asked her to tell us a little bit more about Jewish life in Mexico, her organization, and what she does. Alicia.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bev. Thank you, Lilian. Thank you, Penny. Thank you for this opportunity. I am very happy to participate on this webinar. I want to explain you that I am the president of Voluntarias Judeo-Mexicanas. We are one of 56 organizations of women in Jewish community in Mexico. We have work in institutions. All the work that we do is for Mexican people. We help and we give aid to 5 hospitals, different hospitals. These are not private hospitals, these are government hospitals. So before the pandemic, we did a lot of volunteer work. We visit patients, we gave them presents and all of this. But after the pandemic, we cannot go to the hospitals, but we find a way to help from the distance, no? So if they have needs, they ask for us, and we try to give them what they want. So, okay, we have 5 hospitals. We have 3 schools for children with needs, with special needs. We went there in their when they have celebrities, and we make for them also shows and everything. But after the pandemic, all this work it's stopped. All our volunteer job it's stopped. We are just doing what we can from the distance. Okay. Okay. What else? We visit the fire department. We have a lot of activities.
You talked about Project Magic and how you help.
Yes. We have a project with David Copperfield that he made, and we are part of it since a lot of years. I think 20 years. We have a place when I have one group of volunteers that they go there and they have one moment. Occupational therapy with magic that he made. So they are going there and they do the magic, and it's very good for them. This is 20 years ago. And now with the pandemic, they happily, they could make a Zoom with a lot of kids, and they are doing this with them. This doesn't stop. It stopped for a while, but now it's already on again.
And how, I mean, you're doing all this work in community services, in hospitals with children, And how do you manage to fund yourselves? Where do you get where the funding from?
Yeah, this is a group from 1997. It's been born, and they already have the institutions. They already have this government, ¿cómo se dice? And they already have it. You know, oh, okay, it's okay. They already did the visits and all this.
But do you do any fundraising activities to help
yes,
you?
We have fundraising activities. Every 2 years we have a big event when we fundraising. The last 2 years, 2 years ago, we made a fashion show with 2 brands of handcraft, Mexican handcraft. One of it was amazing. It was a super success for us. And now in the pandemic, we had an art event, but we had to cancel it. It was in March of 2020, and we had to cancel it because of the pandemic.
And how have you used social media and different technologies now to enhance your organization, to spread the word, to get new members to join?
Okay, when I started in Voluntarias Judeo-Mexicanas 8 years ago, I started with Facebook, with an account of Facebook, because I also told the ladies of my group that we need to share what we do, no? Because the young people is not informed, and anyone knows what is going on with us. So we start with a Facebook account, and now in the pandemic, my children told me that Facebook is for all people. So I start an Instagram page, and it was unbelievable. We had too many likes and too many people who asked how to participate on this event. When we had the fashion show, we had 2 new young women who wants to participate with us. It's also the events are also something very good for bringing young people to the organization. So our Instagram is already really good. We have too many followers, and we have received donations also in the Instagram account. It's very, very good.
Fantastic, fantastic. And do you find that there's any anti-Semitism or anti-Zionism? Elena was telling us, I mean, as we all know, and you see on the news, the amount of anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism in Europe and around, but in Mexico, what is the Jewish community like, and how much anti-Semitism do you guys face?
I think anti-Semitism, there is everywhere. But in Mexico, this is not our big problem. We have, in our organization, we have a very nice response of the people that we visit. It's always like the Jews always are worried for us. And we always say we are from Jewish community. All what we do in our organization and the institutions, they always know that we are Jew. So in Mexico, I really think we have a very nice response for the people. And I know there is anti-Semitism, but it's not a big problem.
It's not life-threatening. You don't have attacks on your synagogues or anything like that.
No, in the synagogues are fine. We have security, you know, like in everywhere, but no, it's not a big problem. The anti-Semitism.
Yes. And what do you enjoy the most about being involved in your organization? What makes you, tick? What drives you?
Okay, I have this passion to help others. This is my first thing. But I work in the Red Cross. I work every Wednesday. Not in the pandemic. Before the pandemic, I was there every Wednesday. I visit the patients. I am like part of the volunteers of the Red Cross. So I have a lot of friends that they are not Jewish. No, I am the only Jewish that work there, but there is a very nice response. You know, I am part of it. So and we gave the families a little box of food for the week to help them, because here in Mexico, you know, no anti-Semitism, but very, very poor people, a lot of poor people, a bad government, you know, we have a lot of problems. But we have a really, really nice community. We have a really organized Jewish community, and that helps a lot.
How many Jews are there in Mexico, roughly?
I think we are 45,000 more or less.
Wow.
And we have 56 organizations of women help. The most are helping Jewish to Jewish. And we also have something called FEMEG. It's the young people. It's an organization of only young people, very young, like 14 to 20, I think. They have 32 organizations in there. So it's really, really nice what we do.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa,
for sharing with us. It's so interesting. Our third panelist, Hadassah, is having problems with her internet connection. So I don't think that she has managed to join us as yet. So maybe
Lisa,
I'll pass.
Can I say another thing I forgot?
Pleasure, with pleasure.
Okay, one of these organizations that we have, it's Federación Femenina. Federación Femenina is the organization that has the solid union of all the women organizations. Now in 2019, we introduced them to the ICJW, and they are now members also.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I think there's a real role for women to play within the ICJW. And that was going to be my next question, and we can just have a chat towards you and to Elena while we wait for Hadassah, is if you had to get more young people involved, you know, in the system, more young women involved, how would you recommend going about this? Because people are busy, they don't want to be committed, they don't want to sit in long committee meetings, but they want to make a difference, short and sweet, and then get on with things. So what's your advice on how we attract or get more young women around the world active and participating in any organization? Elena, you answer first, and then we'll go back to Alicia.
Sure. I mean, I think representation is key, and we're slowly understanding that more and more, whether we're speaking about young people, about women, about other minorities, just seeing yourself at the table, someone that looks like you, someone who's your age, your gender, and so on, will motivate you to participate as well. So I think it's really a big responsibility on the side of lay leadership to recognize the importance of making space for diverse voices. And once one person is there, then others will follow. So I think just being able to see someone like you being represented in an organization, on a board, in a speakers list, really motivates others to follow suit, to think that this is something that's relevant for them. It's certainly not easy, I'll say that, but I think it's something that I try to be mindful of when I put together a panel, an event, to make sure that there is gender balance, that there is a geographical balance when relevant, and so on. So it's that small bit of awareness that every one of us, I think, can take on that really makes a difference in the space around us.
Alicia, your comments on how to motivate and get young people or women more involved in organizations?
Yes, I think this is an issue that all the women organizations in Mexico, we have the same issue, because I think there is like a hole between the young people, like this FEMER, and the women groups. No, I think we have in my organization very a lot of adult women, no, and they want to do the job, but they are already older. So we need young people to do all this work, and we are trying. We are doing our best to have young people, but all the women organizations, we have the same issue. And I think they can come with us and do the work, but the commitment is the difficult part, like you said, Lisa.
Yes. And what was one of the first projects that you ever got involved with that drove you to get involved further? What made you commit and take action and take a leadership role and really commit to this? When did it all start? And
well, I am an infant teacher. I have my studies of this, and I was teacher for I think 10 years in a Jewish school. But when I thought I need to do something else, something for others, not just for me. So I started to search, what I can do, and I found this organization that I love.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Lisa.
And Alicia, I've watched some presentations of you. You've been involved in a panel that dealt with xenophobia, in a panel that dealt with the hell shooting in Germany. What upsets you most, and what do you want to, if there's one difference you want to make this year, what would it be?
I don't know. This is a difficult question.
Alina, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Alicia, Alina, sorry. I'm looking at Alina on my screen and I'm asking the question to Alicia, so forgive me.
We all have pretty similar names, but yeah, indeed. I mean, I think the Halle shooting. So just for everyone to know, so basically there was a shooting in a synagogue in Germany by a far-right extremist, and it was really a wake-up call in a sense. I think we're all always on guard, but this happening in Germany was particularly shocking, and it came from a period when far-right extremism in Germany has been on the rise, and various networks were surfaced. So I think, yes, this emergence of far-right extremism in Germany, but across the world as well, in the Scandinavian countries, has been particularly worrying, and came in this broader context of radicalization and people migrating towards the extremes. Particularly, I think in the context of the coronavirus, there was a confluence of various groups coming together and having a sense of disbelief and kind of turning against our society. So this has been quite disheartening, and I think as we become more aware of this trend, hopefully we will be a bit more active and proactive in preventing this. I think the famous quote about the price of liberty being eternal vigilance is resonating so much with me right now. And yeah, we really need to be on high alert always, every day, and kind of make sure we are that countering force to all these trends we're seeing that are very worrying, and make sure that we're elevating the positive in response to that.
Thank you. Thank you. I see that Hadassah in Uganda has managed to get an internet connection. So we are super excited and happy to have you join us and to learn more about the UJW in Uganda. Hadassah is the leader of the Union of Jewish Women. And I've got to be honest, I didn't even know that there was a union in Uganda. She represents the women of the Abba Yudaya tribe in eastern Uganda, in East Africa. She's 26 years old, a mother of two, and studying a BA in media technology. And Hadassah, we know it's been challenging for you to get the connection and join us. So we are so excited and happy to have you, and look forward to telling us, telling us a little bit more about what you do, some of the projects you're involved in, what you're passionate about, and a little bit more. So welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be on this webinar meeting tonight because I've really tried to work on my internet. Thanks to Lisa and everyone who has been able to connect to me tonight. I'm so excited, and I'm very happy to see everyone. Briefly, this is Hadassah Nachiza from Uganda. 26 years, as they already introduced me to everyone. So we are a group of 60 women in Uganda. Of these, we have both Jewish and non-Jewish women, because we get ideas all over the world, all over from all women of different religions. So we don't only base on Jewish only, because we can get knowledge from other religions also. So it's really
doesn't look so good. It looks like we have lost Hadassah. Hopefully she'll rejoin us. If she does, then I will hand back to her. Are there any questions that anybody in the audience would like to ask any of the panelists? Or Hadassah, you back?
Yeah, I'm back. So sorry, it's an internet problem, so just bear with me.
Yes, please continue. We can hear you, and it's good to have you back.
Yeah. So I'll talk about the projects we do in Uganda. We have a Kipot project, which we have women empowerment projects. So far we have the Kipot project. This is the women do the knitting for the kippas and they earn a living. So we also have another project like the Girls Project, the Girls Pad Project. It's the project which we have just started. We got ideas from our members. So we saw that girls are not doing really well during their periods, during their menstrual periods. So they can't afford money to get sanitary pads. So we came with an idea of knitting. of knitting the pads using our local materials. Though it's challenging that we don't make a lot of sanitary pads due to the lack of sewing machines which can help in fastening our work. We also have another project of chicken. It's like a poultry project for the grown-up women. So this helps them. We sell chicken and eggs to empower these women in the villages, because they can't only depend on a husband's pocket, on a husband's money, because in Uganda here, there are women who didn't go to school, and we have those who went to school. And those who didn't go to school, that's why you had to bring in these projects at least to motivate them and make them to get jobs, like not them to sit home and be dormant just waiting for someone's money, because even men don't have good jobs that give them a lot of money, like they can't get enough income to facilitate their families, whereby most women here are in extended families. In Uganda here, it's very rare to find someone giving birth to 2 kids or 3 kids. So they produce multiply. So this is why I tried to engage in myself to help these mothers. Personally, I grew up in an extended family whereby life was not really easy for me. Since my childhood, I like to be a leader, a woman leader, helping these women through women empowerment. I sat down and said, what can I do since I'm grown up? I know how to talk, like at least I have better knowledge. So how can I do to help our mothers? Because my mother struggled a lot to bring me up. She had no money. My father had no funds to fund me. So I grew up in such a mind, like it's like it was a really hustling life. So I said, no, when I grow up, I have to be a leader who will be able to help others, who will be able like to raise the women's voices, bringing the women together such that they can be in a better life, take care of their children, and life goes on well. So that empowered me, that encouraged me, it gave me strength that when I stand up and fight for our mother's life, because we also have like women, like girl child trafficking. That trafficking is all over the world, and it's also affecting Ugandans. They go like in Arab countries, get jobs, and some of them are being killed from there. So I really didn't want this to happen to Jewish women or a Jewish girl child, even a non-Jewish girl child. So through that, at least I try to encourage them to work for themselves through our project, poultry and kipots. I also have a sample of what we make. So this is the kipots. The kipots look like this.
Beautiful.
Hope
You'll
you
have to
can
export
see.
them. You'll
Yeah,
have to provide your email address on the webinar, and you'll have to export them so that people or Jews from all over the world can say, my yarmulke or my kippah was made all the way by women in Uganda. And I think, I know I'd be very happy to see my husband or my son wearing one.
Sure. That will be really good because we don't have market for our pots. We just sell them within our communities, and maybe once we get guests from abroad, like from US, everywhere, and they get interested in our keypots and the bracelets, that's when we can only get much income. but within the country, we don't have market for our clothes. So if all goes well and you can get for me, like you can get the market for our produces, like for our crafts, it will be very good. And this will really help to empower the Jewish women in Uganda.
Fantastic, fantastic.
I really also want to thank everyone who managed to add me on the webinar group, and also thank the whole entire ICJW. You're really working a lot to see that you're improving on every woman at least to be empowered in the whole world. This is so grateful, and I was so happy that the ICJ group managed to add me on their executive board. It was really nice, and this brought in hope. I want to talk about the. Does anyone have a question for me, or I continue?
I think continue for now, and then I'll go to the questions in a couple of minutes. But it's lovely to hear what you've got to tell us.
Thank you so much.
Can you just tell us how many Jews there are in Uganda?
We are about 3,000 Jewish people in the whole, like in Uganda. And all these Jewish people, they are from different districts, like different cities. And our headquarters is in Mbale. It's found in Nabugoye village. So that's the headquarters of the Jewish people in Uganda. We have branches in Namtumba. We have branches in Nalubembe. So there are many districts where you can find these Jewish families and Jewish communities. We are almost like there are 9 separate communities in Uganda. We have one rabbi, and we also have hazans who help in leading in those synagogues. So though the rabbi is not around, services can go on. We have women. We also have like our Shabbat lessons for the women's and for the girls. So after services or during the time of reading the Torah, when these kids are trying to disturb around, we take them out, we teach them the values of being a Jewish child or a Jewish girl. The men also have their side. They also have they also have their programs, and they also have their group. It's called Men's Club. So they also take the boys, and we also take the girls. We teach them Jewish values. What does it take to be a Jewish girl? So it's really interesting during services. And I would also want to talk a little bit about Judaism, maybe how it started in Uganda. I don't think.
Yes,
So
tell us.
Yeah. So during those years, I was not born. There came a man from central Uganda, and his name was called Semei Kakungulu. He was a Muganda. So he came and settled in Mbale. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Thank you. So he came and settled in Mbale on a hill. It was called Kakungulu Hill. That was his name. So they named the hill after him. So he came and started Judaism. So in his story, he says he sat down, read the Bible, and he read about the 5 books of Moses. So that's how he found out that there is a new religion. So he was a Christian by then. So he started practicing the laws of Moses. He started reading the 5 books of Moses. He had leaders, he had a group of people who came with him, and also his children. So they started practicing Judaism. Among the followers, he came with my great grandfather. It was his followers. So when he read about the book, he had to circumcise his children and circumcised all his followers. Circumcised all his followers, and these followers has to produce, gave birth, and that's how Judaism accumulated in Uganda. So most of the Jewish people here are from the Kakungulu family, from the followers of Kakungulu family. But we also have some members who take interest in being Jewish. So they come to the rabbi, talk to the rabbi, and they convert them to be Jewish people. So it's really a big community, and it's continuing to grow worldwide. And also here, the pandemic has not been so good to us because it has affected the education sector. It has affected the education sector, the income sector. So we are not really doing good. We have to be at home. We can't access to hospitals because wherever you go, you fear to be attacked by the disease because it's really terrible and it's affecting the whole country. So what we try to do, we can't sit in our meetings as we have been. They stopped us from going for services, so we just sit home. It affects us because we don't have, most people don't have.
Hadassah's been unfortunately on the connection's frozen on my side. Hadassah, we lost you there for a second, but I think you've come back now.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you one question and then maybe ask the other panelists a question or two.
Okay.
A question that was asked from one of the attendees is, what would your group need in order to manufacture sanitary protection for women in your community? What, if anyone had to help or aid you, what would help the most? What do you need to help with? One of the questions from the attendees in the webinar.
Sorry, yeah.
Was, what would your group need
for
your sanitary project? Hadassah, can you hear me?
Lisa, it's a very bad connection, and I don't think Hadassah can hear you. So I think, if possible, if you could ask Alicia and Elena some of the questions, and if Hadassah comes back, we can ask her. And I apologize to everybody in the audience. I know that there are so many questions, but there are problems with Hadassah's connection, and it is creating a bit of a backlog as far as that's concerned. So there are a couple of questions. I know there was one particular question for Alicia. Does her program involve only Jewish people and volunteers, or does it involve Mexicans? I think she answered that in the beginning, but perhaps she can answer it again.
No, it's the most, we are Jewish people in our group.
But the work that you're doing is mainly to non-Jewish people that are in need, to those less fortunate and helping.
Yes,
in need.
Not Jewish, but the group, we are everybody, we are Jew.
Just from much of your, sorry.
Go for it, Bev.
I just wanted to know if everybody can hear, because I'm having a little bit of difficulty also with the connection. Can everybody hear? Can you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. I'll be quiet.
One of the questions that I got, and maybe we'll conclude with this because our time is coming to an end, but and I'll start with Elena, and then Alicia can answer, and then Hadassah. But one of the questions is, how do you see yourself in 5 years' time, Elena?
Interview question there. Maybe can I just say it's so fascinating to hear from Hadassah, and I see this same enthusiasm kind of mirrored in all the comments. And I think that's such a wonderful reminder kind of Jewish diversity and what we were speaking of in the beginning in terms of having diverse voices at the table. I think Europe is so Ashkenormative, and the understanding of what is a Jew is always such a, white Ashkenazi Jew. So I'm really excited to share the conversation with women coming from very different Jewish backgrounds. Where do I see myself in 5 years? I think what I love to think of Jewish advocacy as being part of wider advocacy for inclusion and anti-racism. So I imagine my work kind of gearing in that direction and working within this broader framework of anti-racism, more holistic framework, and seeing how fighting anti-Semitism, fighting for Jewish life fits into that. If I can just say, it was really interesting to hear, Uganda has 3,000 Jews, and depending on where you're from, that sounds like very little. But in fact, Romania has somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 Jews. So it's just, kind of always fascinating to hear how some of the same realities are very much replicated in other places, which have incredibly different circumstances, but at the same, really some of the same experiences. Just adding to the question, sorry to kind of go beyond that, but I found it very kind of inspirational somehow to be able to see my own experience and background in a completely different reality.
Thank you for that. That's very valuable. Alicia, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And if you've got any comments for any of the other panelists or anything further to say, please feel free.
Thank you, thank you. I am also fascinated with Hadassah's story. It's amazing. And also, I think like Alina, that we have so much things on common. No? And I hope we can make something together. It can be amazing, no? To do some work together. Okay, in 5 years, I am going to be a grandma soon. So I think when you once enter to the community center service, you are always there. I think I am going to maybe I'm not going to be more president of Voluntarias Judeo-Mexicanas, but I am still working in the community service, and I think this is my in 5 years from now.
And Hadassah, we're back with you. Tell us where you see yourself. We're all fascinated to hear from you.
That's so nice. Happy for you.
Hadassah, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hold on. I did not hear you well.
No, everybody's very fascinated to hear about the Jews of Uganda, and just commend you on all the amazing work that you're doing and just for sharing your story. I think it'll open up channels to, you know, to more communication, and there are people that want to get involved in your different projects. So I'm sure Lilian will make a plan to get your details to the audience and to other people who want to reach out and assist with different things. And, you know, for you to carry on the conversation with Alicia and Elena and other ladies in the ICJW, and so we can collaborate and do some work together.
Cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. Okay. Cannot start my video. Here we go. Can you hear me, Lisa?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to open my video here. Sorry, the interference. Ah, here we go. I think you might want to ask Hadassah the last question. I'm sorry, my mic opened up by the host.
No, I think, Hadassah, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time was the general question, if you want to answer that. I don't think Hadassah's hearing me well, so Lilian, I'm going to maybe hand over back to you or to Bev.
Okay, okay,
but
that's
just to
fine.
say that Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that women belong in all places where decisions are being made, and it's been an honor and a privilege to moderate and to meet all of you, and may you just continue to do the incredible work that you all do and to inspire us all. And maybe this be the start of many more collaborative efforts of young people of different diversifications from all over the world, and may we bridge the gap and go forward together. And I've really been inspired listening to the three of you. So thank you Lilian and Bev, and thank you to the audience.
No problem. Thank you. I want Bev to say a few words for us, please. Bev, would you do that?
I will do that, Lilian. I have to tell you that I can't remember the last time I've been so inspired by anyone, and now particularly by three incredible young women from across the world, each one of whom has an unbelievable passion for what they're doing and a passion for other people. And it really makes my heart feel marvelous that we will be able to pass on the baton to these young people when they're ready to take it. I mean, I'm overwhelmed. They're all doing wonderful things, all different things, and yet everything they do is so valuable for women and so valuable for the Jewish community. And I can only say that the ICJW, the International Council of Jewish Women, is the most perfect forum for young women. And the more young women who join their affiliates in their countries and thereby become members of the ICJW, the better it is for the ICJW and for these young women. I've had quite a few questions already to say, or comments to say, how amazing these young women are. They're awesome, they're incredible, and they're showing that that they're not only for themselves, they're for their communities, they're for the Jewish people. And I include Lisa in that as well as being one of the young ones. And I am just overwhelmed and thrilled, and I cannot thank you all enough. And the more of your age group that we have, the better. And I'm leaving the three of you with something very important to do. I would like you to get as many of your young colleagues and your friends and your relatives, whoever else you can get, actually to come to join the affiliations and to become part of the ICJW and part of the wider world. Because however awful this COVID pandemic has been, in many respects, it's been quite good. Because if we weren't able to have these Zooms, it's highly unlikely that all of us here tonight, the audience, would have been able to interact with one another. So because, you know, traveling is very expensive and moving around, and to go from Hadassah in Uganda to Alicia in Mexico is going right across the globe. So this way we are able to connect, and you know, that for me has been one of the few benefits of COVID, but a very big benefit of the lockdown and of COVID. So thank you all. And Lilian, it's been a pleasure working with you. Penny,
Yes.
thank you so much. You
Yes.
are a sterling president of the ICJW. Lisa, thank you very much for your time, and happy birthday, Lisa. Very happy birthday today. I can't see that you have a birthday cake, but I hope your children have given you one. And to all three of you, you are astonishing young women.
Amazing,
so thank
yeah.
you.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Be well. Yeah.
I'd like to call Penny for a few words as well before we wrap it up at this end. Penny, please.
Again, like Bev, I'm just sort of blown away by these three ladies, two of whom I have heard speak before, and I hope we will hear them again. And I'm delighted that we have such amazing young women in ICJW, and it makes my heart swell that we do have a future, because people often talk about Jewish women's organizations as if they're on their last legs and they're not going to go forward. But I think with people like Elena, Alicia and Hadassah, we have a great future. And I hope that you do have a seat at the table, and I hope that other people seeing you at the table will join us as well. So thank you all very much, and thank you to Lilian and Bev for organizing this, and Lisa, thank you as well. Lisa Shevitz, I hope I got it right. I practiced. Thank you for being our coordinator. It's been a lovely session, and I've really enjoyed it, and I'm sure everybody else has. Thank you.
Yeah, we had a lovely moderator. We had a great group of panelists. I want to thank you, everyone, for being here with us. We reached a very high number. I think we have to upgrade our Zoom webinar next time. You can get more information about the work of those wonderful young women by reading the latest issue of our newsletter. They all have a participation on our newsletter. You can also send your questions to the ICJW office, direct to the president, and to communications, which is me. I want to thank you all again for doing this wonderful meeting. Hadassah, Lina, Lisa, and everybody for this joyful afternoon. We hope to see you on our next webinar. And so that's it, everybody. We made it, and have a wonderful afternoon. I'm in the afternoon. You guys are in the evening, South Africa. Thank you, Ben Goldman, for the wonderful partnership. Penny, for the leadership. Thank you so much, you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.